sorry, the video got interrupted because those ridiculous telemarketers started calling and the video shut down. So anyway, coming out of the victim mode is the key. How did I come out of the victim mode? Because when I was working with my spiritual teacher, Paul, I remember I was experiencing something at work and some conflict. And then I was actually with my coworker. I'll share about this later. That was also a very interesting, revealing lesson for myself. But so that lady was feeling hurt by me, and I felt horrible that I caused that hurt. And so when I was talking to Paul, he gave me this key thought, this pure thought, the one that healed me, pushed me into the right direction. He said, Oksana, you apologized for what you said to her, so remember what she's feeling. You didn't put it in her. These are her feelings. She is the owner of those feelings. You did nothing wrong. If you made a mistake, if you hurt her by saying something, you apologize for it, and that's as much as you can do. Now it's up to her to figure out how to forgive you or why she's reacting the way she's reacting. So that was like a light bulb switched on in my brain. I thought, wait a second, but if it goes, the same, if it's for her like this, then the same is for me. So anytime my ex was telling me something horrible, right? And I would say, oh, you hurt my feelings. He didn't hurt my feelings. I have my own feelings. They are my feelings. This is my emotional body. My feelings are my feelings. He has nothing to do with it. He is triggering something in me. He is triggering something in me. What is he triggering? When he was calling me names and doing all the mean things, in his actions and words, he was triggering the childhood core wound. I am not good enough, because I believed that. I believed inside of me that I'm not good enough. That was my key. I stopped being a victim. I started owning what I'm feeling. What am I feeling? Become aware. What is this feeling? Anger, hurt, screaming, crying, because, you're protecting yourself. But why am I feeling this? So then I started sitting with that feeling. And then I started doing the inner work. I started reading Paul's and his wife book, You're Never Upset for the Reason You Think You Are. Because that will point you to how actually go all the way down to the main trigger. Because, every time you experience these reactions, there's the underlying core soul wound. You are not good enough for me, right? So as I read the book, I realized that when people are triggering us, this is a trigger of our wound, of our pain that needs to be healed. And there was an exercise in the book. I apologize, I don't have it with me now. I moved in with my friend, so I don't have the book. But I will provide the resource as a link. I think that book is on Amazon. So you do an exercise. So this is what I was doing. Let's say I had an outburst, like he was calling me names, I would scream, right? Then I would run home, find that exercise and start writing it down, start doing it. So why am I doing this? What do I feel about myself when I do this? What do I feel about others? And pretty much it shows you how to dissect it, that you actually arrive at the first time you felt this emotion. You dig inside of your emotional body, you go in, and then you pull it up, and then you actually will feel a relief. You will feel like it actually left you. That's what I was physically feeling like when I was digging, doing those exercises. Every time I had the outburst, I actually went all the way down, and you won't believe it. It brought me to a memory of me being a little girl, and my aunt was babysitting me, and I remember clearly now. Can you imagine? It was buried all under, somewhere in my subconscious. So all I remember is that she hit me with a metal pan on my head, and I remember sitting scared under the table and just like trying to understand, what did I do? That was the beginning of that I'm not good enough. She hit me, and then I, thought that, I'm not good enough. She hit me because I'm not good enough. Then as I started digging more, another thing came up. My father not being in my life, and I was told that, he's working abroad, but he was never coming to me, because, there's another story in itself. But again, the untruth that I implanted, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for my dad to come to me, to be with me. It came out of me. Then, and I'll teach you, actually, it doesn't come out just like that. You have to do another exercise, another work to actually release it completely from your emotional and mental body. And then as I was digging deeper, again, my mom criticizing me for the way I dressed, for the way I looked. The same thing. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. The way I cooked something, oh, you don't know how to cook. I'm not good enough. Reinforced. Layer after layer after layer after layer. And it just sits there, and you're not even aware. But this is what actually is driving you. Ultimately, your subconscious. Your subconscious is your shadow self. It is all your painful emotions that you felt throughout your life, all your thought patterns that are unhealthy, that are, or negative thought patterns. So all your feelings of, like low energy feelings, this is all your shadow. And if you suppress it, if you suppress, you don't heal. You heal only by releasing. How do you release? You need to actually meet that shadow. You need to realize you have that. You need to be brave enough and compassionate enough and patient enough to do like a little bit at a time. It will not come just like this. It is daily inner work, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And always forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is the key. Let's say I would scream at my daughter, right? And then I would feel guilty. Guilt, low vibration, you're blocked. You cannot come out of the state. Once I learned to say immediately, when I realized, I'm like, oh my God, that's actually not nice. Why am I screaming at my daughter? I would go apologize to her and say, I'm so sorry, that wasn't my best behavior, but I don't know any better how to behave for now. Please forgive me. And then I would tell myself immediately, I started saying, it's okay. It's okay to scream. It's okay to let your anger out. Every emotion is valid. I started forgiving myself. Once you do that, you release that low energy and you actually come up, and then you start compassionately figuring out what is going on. Why are you triggered? Where's the root cause of this? With love, with non-judgment. You become your own best friend. It's like, like the way I now perceived my shadow, all those suppressed, wounds and thought patterns and perceptions. It's like this scared little kid. This is kind of like your inner kid. This inner child is standing in the corner, the dark, dark corner. He's crying and he's screaming for help, and he wants to be heard. He wants to be heard and understood and loved. That's all he wants. This is your shadow. All those core wounds, all those perceptions that you have of yourself, all those untruths that, you were told and you believed in them. This is what it is. That dark shadow, that's just your other side. And the other key component in healing is that actually when you make peace with your dark side, you stop the inner war. That was another huge breakthrough for me. You have to realize you have both. You have dark and light in you. And the whole universe is like this. Without darkness, there's no light. Without light, there's no darkness. It's a balance. So when you accept that you actually also are, you are like mean, you have the dark in you, you can be angry and all those other emotions, and it's okay because it's part of you. You will end your inner war. And then you will look at your shadow self with compassion and love. And you will start healing it one little piece at a time. And once you do this, you will set yourself on a beautiful, beautiful journey of understanding yourself fully and understanding others in return. I hope it helped.